What's up, fellow gamers? Welcome to my Wireghost class guide for Cyber Knight's Flashpoint. I have about 900 hours in game, although that's been over the last year and change. Wireghost's only been out for about a month and a half for me, so this will be a little bit imperfect. That said, I regularly play through Chrome difficulty challenge runs, so everything that's worked for me will almost certainly work for you as well, and let's break down the Wireghost class, its talents, what kind of multi-class you might go for, how you might gear them, and all the various Wireghosts that are available to learn in the first place. And we're going to start with one of the two sort of crowning jewels of the class here. It's going to sound kind of weird. First up is Security Siphon. Security Siphon is basically just your bog standard jam kit or packet loss or security scramble or whatever. The difference is it comes with directly 2 out of 2 scanning whatever the security control unit is that attaches to that camera or laser wire or whatever. Now, if the device isn't attached to Matrix host, you still get to disable for 2 turns like normal. But if it is attached to a host and attached to an SCU, whenever you would connect to that Matrix host, it will be 2 out of 2 scanned, which means you will see all the passive ice, all the active ice, and all the traps. Whether or not you skipjack in, spoilers for skipjack, you will know what is on that node. One little minor thing here is that it means you can't scan from within that node. It's already scanned 2 of 2, but you don't typically want to. You won't typically need to, so it's not a very big deal. Anyway, Security Siphon is basically the 1-2 punch that makes Wireghost unique and interesting and worth bringing into a team. As far as upgrades are concerned, you can get a lot more charges. You can increase the range of casting to 25 meters. That said, getting to 20 requires at least 2 points, and getting to 25 meters requires at least 5. Because Security Siphon has a fairly short cooldown of 4 turns, I don't tend to need any more investment here, and a 1-point wonder is more than good enough, and it works great. Now, its sibling talent here is Skipjack. Of note, Skipjack is a 5-turn cooldown and does often pair very directly with Security Siphon, so there is a world where you take -1 cooldown to have them line up. Not that important, but either way, Skipjack directly connects you to a Matrix host by going through a camera or a laser gate or a landmine or whatever, as long as it's actually attached to the host. You can tell by going to the hosts on the map and either looking at the wires coming out or pressing the default hotkey is H and tabbing around. You're like, oh, I want to knock down like this camera for 6 turns. You say, okay, well that camera's attached to this host. What else attached to that host? Okay, I will Security Siphon and then Skipjack in and knock things down. Couple minor points here, right? Once you have siphoned, that node is now permanently scanned. You don't have to re-siphon to skipjack. And in fact, like, if camera A and camera B are attached to the same SCU, and you siphon camera A and you skipjack camera B, as long as you go to the same SCU, it's still going to be scanned. Don't worry, you don't have to like repeat this process ever, right? This part is kind of one and done. But skipjack is really, really cool. You connect directly to the security control unit. But the problem is, if you do the math here, you have exactly 9 actions before you are forcibly dump shocked out of the host. 9 actions is not a lot. Every single SCU will always have at least 1 passive ice, and you cannot mess with the connected stuff until it's disabled, which means you have to load sleaze and then use sleaze to knock it down. That's minimum 2 clicks right there, and then disabling a camera or whatever, that is your 3rd click. Now, if there's only 1 passive ice on the node, okay, it's 3 clicks to kill a camera, 4 clicks to kill 2 cameras, 5 to kill 3, 6 to kill, right? Like, okay, it's not that bad. But if it's scarier, it's like, well, do you have to load deception? Do you have to load disarm? Do you have to get rid of all these manually? Are there 2 active ice? Are there 2 passive ice? Do the active ice hurt your connection? Will the trap hurt your connection? Like, there can be a lot of stuff that makes it really, really awkward. And so some ways of getting more space and more time can be really valuable. Also, some ways of just getting rid of the ice faster can be valuable. This depends a lot on your difficulty levels. For me, where I'm playing on Chrome, by the time I'm like level 6, I've got 3 to 4 ice on the node, and if it's 1 trap, 1 active, 2 passive, that's guaranteed 7 clicks just to knock down all the ice. And then I get to disable 1 thing, and then if I disable the 9th thing, I get dump shocked. That's not great, right? So you have to find ways around that. And also, like, you really shouldn't consider skipjack like the way you're going to loot a bunch of files, right? Getting to a file location, getting rid of all the ice there, taking all the downloads. Like, there are ways to make it kind of work, but it's kind of not the point here. The point of skipjack is to basically be incredibly powerful, souped up jam kit where you take your 1-2 punch that costs 2 AP, and the result is, in most contexts, with a good talent build, you're going to knock down 7 security devices for 5 turns each, or longer, based on what you have. But you're basically going to come around, and while you might have to, like, you know, hope Line Crawler gets lucky or have high investment, for literally 2 talent points, you can knock down an entire map's, like, security devices, right? And that's really, really good. And about 5 turns later, when they come back on, you skipjack to any random thing and do it all over again with even easier because the ice is all still disabled. Okay, that's the 1-2 punch of Siphon and Skipjack. We'll talk more about it later. The final intro talent here is Spectral Dagger. You get 2 tokens. So Spectral tokens are gained and used in various locations. Talents like Q Protocol and Pin Drop and Trap Keeper and whatnot. Like a lot of things will generate Spectral tokens. Spectral tokens do not do anything intrinsically. Spectral Dagger is the only way to make those tokens block Q-Sec tally on death. They don't do it innately. They don't do it natively. So be careful on that one, that this might imply your token's going to do something. They don't without using Spectral Dagger. Spectral Dagger itself has a duration. That duration is about 3 turns. I guess 2 turns innately, and then 3 turns with this learned right here. And it also generates Spectral tokens, plus, again, gives them intrinsic value of stopping Q-Sec tally from ice death. Spectral Dagger will end up being, in my opinion, one of the things that you end up maxing really early on. Is very, very good, but is kind of low value super, super early. Let's start by talking about the Havoc tree, though, which is the main meat space tree here, and what you're looking for. So, one of the early talents here is Ghost Distortion. As mentioned, of course, right, you can just Security Siphon, and this will just knock something down in meat space, so if you play a meat space Wireghost, you can skip most of this stuff, and it's fine. Ghost Distortion is become invisible, become perfectly silent as well. Costs you 1 AP, sure. If you break out for an attack, it's 10% crit chance for that attack. It is only 1 turn, does not affect a lot of security devices. Be careful with this one, right? The things that will care about you running past them will get you, but you do skip cameras at least. Of course, Siphon and Skipjack can get around that a little bit, but still, keep in mind it's basically there to skip guards. You can drop 1 AP cost off, you can make it give you 1 MP back. These are basically the same upgrade because you're not going to use it to not move. Dropping the cooldown to 3 and adding a second charge allows you to, if I do my math right, it allows you to pop this on turn 1, turn 3, turn 5, and turn 7, and get all your charges back in time for that to be true. So you can have 8 turns to, you know, get a lot going on there. Sorry, remainder of turn. I'm griefing. It's not for 8 turns, but you can still do it on turn 1, on turn 2, and on turn 3. Sorry, I don't know why I thought the duration was more than 1. I'm being really silly, but right, make sure you end your turn somewhere safe, and you can then on the next turn go again, pop this, gain +1 move point. Doesn't cost you anything. You can get pretty far across the map as long as you're being kind of cautious and coy on what you're doing. Kill Switch is very fun. It is very, very specifically targeted jam kit. Target a prox mine or a laser wire within a decent enough range, and it now goes to your turn. And it's going to last a total of 3 turns, right? This and the next 2. So if you're doing it at the very, very end of the turn, you're basically losing 1 turn of value. Keep in mind, when prox mines blow up, they are loud. They do make noise. Guards will turn and investigate, and people will be sent over. So be careful on that one. Although my experience with laser wires is you get much less angst about that one. You just get kind of some free damage and slow them down. This, by the way, will work on... what's it called, headhunters and stuff as well. If there's any enemy factions there, that's all going to be reasonable. And yeah, you can make this last a very, very long time. I don't feel like you tend to need this. I don't feel like you often need to go to 40 meters, but with 2 charges already as well, like a lot of this to me is like, well, there are only so many laser wires on the map. There's only so many prox mines on the map. I usually have to kill 1 or 2, and I've already got 2 charges, and it's already a 3-turn duration. So just out of the box, it's already pretty good. If you are playing a very matrix-focused Wireghost, coming all the way out here and spending these travel nodes might be a little punishing for you, but honestly, it's quite a bit of value. Not every individual security device is on a matrix host, so sometimes you just have to turn things off manually. And this can work out. I think it can make the cut. But again, I want to point out Wireghost is fairly talent heavy, and so you can often drop this as well. Manifest Trace is not something that I would generally ever learn, but you can basically look at a loot box and see what is in it. This will help you know if you want to take the risk to run for a box or not. Up to you if you want to get all this going on and figure out what's in boxes. For me, it's not worth it, but if there's something you care about and you're already up here doing this kind of stuff, you know, feel free, right? Especially if you're going to play some kind of solo Wireghost stuff where you're going to run around and grab boxes by yourself and be hidden. Okay, this can make sense. Final meat space talent is Radio Silence. The enemy guard that you click cannot make reports. It also kills Overwatch in case you need that as an Overwatch breaker, which is nice, you know, over the top as well. You can get a lot of debuffs here. It does last for two full turns, so you can get -10 evasion, 10% crit vulnerability. Single target debuff, these are like okay. They're probably not amazing as damage debuffs, but they are there. One benefit is you can make it AoE. This will once in a while catch a second or third guard. I would not realistically grab Wireghost just to come grab a bunch of upgrade talents and make me a debuffer. I would rather multiclass for that, considering it'll take you at least 2 travel nodes from these to get here, and then honestly cost you quite a lot to get all the way up. Again, whatever, it's fine. Simply dropping Overwatch is pretty solid. Blocking the Sec AI report is pretty nice as well. Now, in some cases, you're doing this to a guard that is engaged with you in combat, and the, combat debuffs can help, of course, but no, please don't report intruders. That's going to be really, damaging to me. Okay, that's very helpful. You won't get people sent around. The other is just a guard walked by and saw a corpse you don't want triggered or whatever. And yeah, the Sec AI already sent the guard over to, because the body timer ran out or whatever, but you can, block the 3 tally by not reporting the corpse. You can block another guard from being sent over. You can do some kind of fun things here. And so as a 1-pointer, fairly reasonable, but I find the upgrade pathing to be, probably not what I want. All right, let's go talk about things that are mostly related to doing skipjacks, and we'll go right up the middle toward Phantom Slide. So this is basically a targeted straight line teleport. You click on the node you want to go to, then you click Phantom Slide, and you zip right over. Now, the ice that you are on, the current node you're on, those ice will react, right? If you have active ice that says, deal 10 damage to Cyberdeck when you take any action, that will count, and you will take your 10 damage before the Phantom Slide leaves the node. Nothing really new there, compared to, say, like if you were to disable ice or nuke the ice, you would kill it before they would act. You're leaving the node via Phantom Slide. It's just like you walking out of the node for the most part. So keep that in mind that, hey, you're not immune to active ice reactions while doing Phantom Slide. Gaining 10 AP is kind of whatever. The bigger thing is the 10 damage per Spectral token to all ice in the node. This will vary wildly based on what difficulty levels you're playing on. Ice health is not based on the power of the QSec AI. It is not based on gray, green, blue, orange, red, ultra. It is not based on having a boa or a sidewinder or diamond rattler or whatever. It is based on the power level of the matrix host when the mission is generated. There's also substantial variance in ice health. I've seen in the same host an individual ice, like, oh, here's an X-Buster, here's a different X-Buster, and had twice the health of the other one. There is very, very high variance in ice health overall. Now, the nice thing is passive ice and active ice tend to have the same rough distribution of health they could have. So if you're like, oh, how much damage is Slide going to do, and how much health do ice have, just click the node you're on, look at how much health the ice have in the node you're at, and you're like, oh, okay, the active and passive ice have around 30 or 70 or 90 or whatever, and it can go above 100, by the way. These can get really, really tanky. Traps tend to have about half as much, 2/3 as much health. Traps are more easily killed. But are also often, less dangerous. But regardless, yeah, you're going to start counting Spectral tokens. And 10 damage per token is the baseline. There are also 3 nodes that give 10% more damage per token. It is here, here, and here. You can get up to 30% more damage by tokens. Right now, which is in October 2025, percent matrix damage does not affect this. You only get the 10, 20, 30% more damage, and that is it. So at least you have very deterministic, very obvious, easy to know damage pieces here, but yeah, I haven't seen any versions of percent matrix damage. Maybe someone in the comments can correct if like specific things like programs that give matrix damage matter, but I have not seen that to be the case. Regardless, Phantom Slide is really interesting for 2 reasons. So 1, it is a pocket nuke, right? If you get a lot of really good token generation through things like Spectral Dagger, this is a way to be like, actually, whenever I Phantom Slide, I'm going to deal 142 damage. You can't do that much exactly, but whatever. I'm going to do 140 damage to whatever ice I show up at. And that will basically one-shot even power level 10 matrix hosts. So you will basically guarantee one-shot if you can get to around 9 to 10 tokens with 20% damage. That is where I have felt comfortable playing high-level Chrome games, where it's like, I will one-shot whatever I show up on. And the way you kind of do that is you're like, well, you try to get enough tokens, and then you just like say, okay, well, I have this CPU, I know it's CPU because I scanned, and the neighbor, like this one neighbor node, like didn't get flipped over. That's the CPU. Okay, well, instead of like loading attack and getting through it and whatever, or having a hacker with null op, I've got tokens. I'm just gonna Phantom Slide on the CPU. CPU gets one shot. Great. The ice is all gone. It cost me 0 AP. In fact, I got 10 AP back for it. Wonderful. So that is like the use case of Phantom Slide, essentially. That's one of them. The other is just, it's a simple time saver. It's, you know what, I have all these tokens and the host was really easy to me, and you know what, I'll just like go to this SCU or go to this like download node and just get rid of the ice there, and look, they're all gone. It's great. We're chilling. And if you are using something like Spectral Dagger, where you're getting ice blocking on death, well, that's great, because what's going to happen is you're not going to generate any tally for this. You have, you know, functionally Scapegoat here, or Spoof. Which one? Scapegoat, I think. Right, basically the way you make Phantom Slide kill things comes with built-in Scapegoat. And so you're kind of chilling and you're like, oh cool, I can knock these ice down. I literally got 10 AP back instead of spending AP to do it. Didn't cost me any program charges. And then the third sort of point is this can do some really nice things around navigation. As you'll see it mentioned somewhere, yeah, all connection restrictions, if you're in an access gate or there's a sluice or something else going on, it doesn't matter, you just go. If there's ice that says you can't leave, doesn't matter, you get to just go. And so you can skip some skip some passive ice, you can skip interesting nodes that might slow you down. Basically, I like it a lot. And to talk about other things that this can do, I really like that it has this node right here for repairing connection. Now, you can get some AP, which you don't typically need. You can get Cyberdeck Shield, which you also don't typically need. But this part's really, really good, because this is the magic number of how much damage Skipjack does to you every turn when skipjacking. Which means if you come in and get a decent enough turn with Skipjack and are able to generate tokens, and you can Phantom Slide up to 3 times with investment, you can be like, well, you know, whenever I disconnect, my turn is over. That's just going to happen to me. But until that happens, I've got 3 Phantom Slides, and it's going to repair all the connection damage from skipjacking. And in fact, if you get a better Cortex Wetware, or you get the Underworld Hub Wireghost, what ends up happening is you can actually go positive in doing this. You can get like down to like 8 or so connection damage per action, and you still repair 12, which means actually you can Phantom Slide around, and maybe you bought a Matrix Snoop, or you took some kind of leverage that revealed where the CPU is, or leverage that you revealed where the download nodes are, and you're like, well, actually, I've got enough connection repair and low enough damage that I, you know, did what I wanted out of the SCU, or it's my second time in, I just, you know, re-skipjacked, and I made a bunch of tokens, and I've got 90 connection health left, and I'm going to go run around, and I'm going to Phantom Slide in, and I'm just going to go set stuff up. I'm going to go knock things down and have a good time. And look, a 3-turn cooldown is relatively short. Having your Cyber Knight rewind you to get your stuff back relatively soon, that's pretty valuable as well. And you can turn skipjack turns especially into these turns where you're like, well, I connected, I knocked down a bunch of devices, and then the rest of what I did was knock down a bunch of other troublesome, really annoying nodes, so that when I connect to this host later on, it's a cakewalk to walk through the host. Took a long time with that one. Phantom Slide is really cool. Wireghost is a complex class. That's most of the description of how to use tokens. Let's make things easier. Crashpad says if you're going to dump shock, instead don't. You still get disconnected, right? You still get hard DC'd, but you don't get dump shocked. So you don't get the boost speed debuff, you don't lose the AP. And because Skipjack lowers your connection health every turn, you know, getting 1 extra action and not getting dump shocked is nice. Teleporting around randomly and being like, oh, I'm on a CPU node and the ice aren't all dead. I've got to disconnect. Crap, that's going to kind of suck. Again, you still get DC'd, so you're going to lose, you know, any buffs you were holding on to. You're going to, you know, unload all your programs, but this basically allows you +1 action on a skipjack turn, which can truly be relevant. It also allows you to be way less afraid of how annoying some of the trap ice might be. There's stuff where it's like, take any action, instantly hard disconnect. Well, this prevents that. Now, I find that Wireghost is very talent hungry very early on, and so to me, I don't have the space to learn this early, but there is a point in time where this makes the cut, but it's going to be around like level 19 or so, not early on. Go to left-hand side first. Q Protocol is yet another skipjack relevant talent. If you're not, and by the way, Wireghost and Hacker are mutually exclusive. They have the same implant slot here. It could be this or a Matrix link. You cannot have both unless someone mods the game at some point. But the devs are like, no, it's intentional. This is mutually exclusive. Basically, it is hard to lose a lot of connection unless you're skipjacking. But if you're skipjacking, if you take an action and your connection health was under 25%, repair it back. This comes close to 1 for 1. Again, if you have better upgrades, this will actually repair your connection outright. +1 token is nice as well. Cooldown of 3 won't really matter in terms of skipjacking, right? This cooldown is already shorter than skipjack's cooldown, so guess what? This is pretty much irrelevant unless you invest really heavily on 3-turn skipjack, which I don't think you need, but your mileage may vary. But the fun part is you can make connection repair 18. This is now giving you 2 actions back in a lot of cases. You can get a second charge. So you can get 4 actions back. You can get a second token. So now you're getting 2 charges of 2 tokens. This means you can really swim around for a while in a skipjack turn and use this as a token generator. It's not the best token generator, but this stuff is actually kind of decent. You could even go to third. I have not played late game enough to really think about this, but you can definitely sort of do a thing where you're like, yeah, my skipjack's going to go for so long because eventually I'm going to get, 6 tokens and 54 connection health back. That's a lot. I can do a lot of stuff here, right? And at the very end, I'm immune to getting kicked out. So I mentioned earlier how skipjack is really awkward and, or can be really awkward early on if there's a lot of ice on your node and you only ever get 8 actions and your 9th is going to dumb shock you. So Trapkeeper is one of the ways where it gets a whole lot nicer. It's an innately a 2-charge talent, only costs 5 AP, which is not bad. This just says, eat a trap in the node I'm on. Now it does count as killing it. It will generate QSEC tally unless you have Spectral Dagger tokens. It will also eat the charge even if there's no trap ice there. Now, when you're connecting through a security siphon skipjack, it's scan 2 of 2. You know how many traps are there. There is no danger. There's nothing scary there whatsoever. But in any alternate case, hey, by the way, be careful a little bit, right? It is a nice token generator. It's 2 tokens per trap. Keep in mind, if Spectral Dagger is up, you will eat 1 dagger in blocking the QSEC tally on death, so it'll be only net 1 tally. If you don't hit Spectral Dagger, you will gain 15 QSEC tally by eating this. Up to you which one you care about more. Do you want the 15 QSEC tally? Do you want the extra dagger? But Trapkeeper is one of the ways to generate enough tokens. As I mentioned kind of earlier, 8 tokens is often not enough on Chrome to feel comfortable using things like Phantom Slide. Well, Trapkeeper is a way to do that. Traps cannot spawn on square nodes, essentially. They will not spawn on incinerators or access nodes or firewalls. You have to go to a security control unit or an SP or something else or a download set. But you do want to proactively generate tokens at some point. And so going here, hitting up Spectral Dagger, and then hitting Trapkeeper a couple times will give you some nice things. Now, do I need a third one? Usually not. Do I need the AP cost down by 5? Absolutely not. Do I need 25 IO? My experience has been that IO does get a little tight, but really in the early game, both IO and AP are tight, and then later on, maybe. There's like a world where I might go for this. It's just the timing can be awkward. It might not be when I want it, but this is like fine. You can do it again and get 50% back. This definitely can get you to a pretty good state. Late game hacking in general is much more IO starved than AP starved, so very much later on where you're like, yeah, give me a third Trapkeeper and I'm going to use it as a way of getting 50% IO back per click. That is very, very good. Again, this is probably like a level 20 plus luxury set of upgrades, but not bad in any way. Again, AP cost, I don't really care. 4th charge for 2 points, I don't really care. But yeah, this bottom row on the top left, again, not right away. I would not grab it right away, but pretty solid overall. To me, it's like, yeah, just it works out that way is the way I view it. Go to the right-hand side, we talked about Spectral Daggers. I don't think I talked about all the upgrades, but you can get a 3rd token. You can make them last a total of 3 turns. You can then double the number of tokens by clicking twice, and then you can eventually come down here and grab what would then be an 8th token. My recommended upgrade pathing, by the way, is grab a 3rd token, and then you can spend 2 for 1 token, or you can spend 3 for 3 tokens, right? Because it's 3 times 2, and then you can spend 2 for what is now functionally 2 tokens, and you can grab 8 Spectral Dagger tokens. For me, until I have 8 Spectral Dagger tokens, I am not investing more heavily in Phantom Slide or Pin Drop. But hey, FYI. We'll go talk about Unlink next, because Pin Drop should be delayed in my opinion. So Unlink is kind of like Phantom Slide, where you're going to go, and wherever you are, doesn't matter, you're going to teleport to another... Sorry, this is the wrong one. I was talking about Phantom... I was talking about, Pin Drop. No, this is kind of like Trapkeeper. So Unlink is like Trapkeeper in that this will immediately deal with some ice on the node you're on, which has pretty obvious direct synergy with Skipjack. This is for active ice. So instead of having to load Deception, and then Deceptioning each single one, losing 12 action per click, you can Unlink. This will simply teleport away the active ice off the node you're currently on. Now, this can send them to any node. This can send them to another node you care about down the line. You can actually send it to the opening connection node, so that when you connect to the Matrix host later on, there will be an active ice there waiting for you, hurting you when you load Deception. So there's like a little bit of noise that can happen there, so be careful. Still, though, Unlink allows you to have a much more productive first turn skipjacking. Again, late game SCUs are often going to have like 2 active ice and a trap on it, and simply clicking Unlink Trapkeeper, or Unlink Trapkeeper and then moving on lets you get rid of all that ice for only 2 clicks, saving you actions and saving you connection health for your skipjack turns. That's really valuable, of course. It gives you 1 Spectral token charge for every single active ice there. That's really useful as well. The connection repair is a little bit wonky in that, just like everything else that repairs connection first, like here, it repairs at the start of the action, so you don't get like dump shocked, accidentally or whatever. But that means if the first thing you do after skipjacking is unlinking, you're already at 100% connection health, which means you aren't going to get anything. You're going to be at 100 anyway, and then you're going to take your -12 from skipjack. So unfortunately, one of the core uses of unlink does not actually get any value from this line, but you do get tokens. And it's why I say, like, actually it's really valuable to finish whatever you're doing and then go on a, token generating phantom slide tree, because a lot of what you're going to do when you skipjack in is unlink and trapkeeper, have like 4 tokens or so, and then generate the rest and go on a teleport spree. Now, unlink, again, it only sends things around. You can get a second charge, I think is reasonable. I think you will often find that you want to do this twice in a host. One thing that can be really nice here is it can really help with CPU spikes, because if the ice is no longer at CPU, it's just like it's gotten destroyed. And same with trapkeeper here. If you need to do some early game CPU disruption, there's, relatively easy path to get trapkeeper, relatively easy path to get to unlink, and it's like, I've got to spike the CPU. Wow, attack is really slow going. These ice all take 2 clicks, and I have very limited IO. Okay, well, unlink the active ice, trapkeeper the trap ice, and there's like 1 passive ice left. Load attack, hit it twice, CPU is ready to be spiked. That can help, pretty well. Like a second charge is fine, 3-turn cooldown is fine. More connection repair can matter. This really only matters if you have a second charge and you're like, well, I skipjacked the SCU, I'm going to move around now. And the thing is, if you're moving around with teleports, the traps are all dead, the active ice is all dead, so you don't care. But if you're like, well, I'm going to move around and use unlink, okay, fine. You can unlink some other random location and get stuff done. But to be honest, for me, I don't feel like I need ever more than +1 charge at most, and I can kind of leave it there. Move to Pin Drop. This is a sort of sister talent to Phantom Slide. Pin Drop teleports you randomly. Also comes with 5% connection repair out of the box, and does the same 10 damage per spectral token to all ice in the node. Now the fun thing here is you can also get a lot of connection repair. You can also make it target intelligently. Now there are still some dead nodes here, especially if you SCU in, for example, the base connection network endpoint is viable. As are any of the other like blank sort of silver diamond nodes that are also always blank, never downloads, never ice. So there can be one to do bad nodes every single time. But more often than not, it does something good for you. Often it will put you somewhere where you're in a straight line to like an like a CPU or something. And again, if you can do all your token generation, well, I mean, at worst it goes somewhere dead, which is unfortunate. But again, more often than not, if you make the token generation happen, it will put you somewhere pretty good. And it will let you just like delete some ice. That can feel pretty powerful. And even if you don't have this node, at worst, it's going to blow up, random ice on an incinerator and, save you 8 action points and 2 talent charges, program charges, which like is not nothing. It's fine. And again, you can get so much connection repair. You can go up to 29% connection. You can get a 3rd charge here. This will easily allow you to heavily extend your skipjack turns, and so it's why I really like doing heavy token generations, because you can get to the point where you have 3 pin drops and 3 phantom slides, and you just kind of run around clearing the entire host out and repairing enough connection that you can actually take some downloads, spike a CPU, load scan, do kind of fun stuff, and get really, really big, really wild, very long skipjack turns, because this is 0 AP, it doesn't cost any IO, right? Same here, actually gives you AP back. Like, there's some really cool stuff here. Once you have comfortable numbers of spectral dagger tokens, I start investing in pin drop and getting charges, and especially getting this node so that you can get better targeting on the teleport. This is really, really, really nice. You can absolutely turn 1 complete Q gap spike missions. If you have like, sometimes pin drop gets lucky, or you have phantom slide coming in, you can get some really good stuff going on there. Final 2 talents are going to be deck bending and cash burn. I'm going to start with cash burn here. The thing with cash burn is it is basically the hacker's null op at home. And really early on, when your tokens aren't enough to feel good about teleporting, and the reason why I don't like early game teleporting without tokens is the node will often be 0 out of 2 scanned, and maybe you have preloaded scan and sleaze, deception, whatever, but you teleport in, and now you're on the node. The ice are all still active. You hit scan, and all the active ice just hits you. And if you're on a high difficulty, that could be 3 active ice. You take all those reactions, and that's going to really kind of suck. And so that's really kind of painful. But if you do something instead, like have nuke ready and don't worry about scanning, you can phantom slide or pin drop and just cash burn it. You will run out of tokens pretty quickly, but that's fine. You do, let's call it 40 damage from a phantom slide or 40 damage from a pin drop, And if you took this, you know that you're on a relatively useful node. You can check the chat readout on the right-hand side to see if there was actually ice there, to know if it's a decent node at all. And you're like, okay, I damaged ice but didn't destroy it. Let's just cash burn. And yeah, I'm going to use up 2 Spectral tokens. But this is going to pretty much guarantee that wherever I ended up, that ice is dead. And if I don't want to go for teleporting, although you can, right? It's very easy to go to the Phantom Slide. You can be like, yeah, okay, what I want to do is try to spike a CPU, so I'm going to Phantom Slide onto it, and then I'm going to cash burn it, and the CPU is dead, and up I go. And I don't have to load and use attack. That is very reasonable. I've found this to be one of the more effective, very, very early game talents until I get my token generation going. But before then, cash burn does what I wanted my tokens to do in the first place. Second charge, pretty worthwhile. This is a solid node overall. Plus damage, plus more damage, very, very reasonable. AP cost and third charge, you can do this. I mean, Hacker functionally has this with Null Op, but I don't tend to need more than this, and even this might be more than I really need, but, you know, if you're in the early game, maybe like before level 9 or so, you can go for a cash burn focused build before you respec into a teleport focused build. It's going to be really, really solid. Final talent here is deck building. This one I have not found great value in. It reads pretty well, but it to me doesn't really work out the way I want it to. So you get a lot of connection repair, which means you can get another 3 or 4 turns or whatever in your skipjack, which can be cute. It gives you a bunch of IO back so you can keep going, but it also uses up all of your spectral tokens. So it has to be kind of the last thing you do, where you're like, well, I was going to be done. I have nothing else I could do. I'm running out of connection health. Maybe it was, you know, I teleported to a download node. Everything is dying. And it's like, well, all I'm going to do is download stuff. It's like, okay, my connection got lower and lower and lower. You know what? Hit deck bending, get 40 connection back, and I'm going to get, you know, 3 or 4 more clicks. I'll take 3 more downloads, and we're okay here. You can upgrade it to get more IO back, but you might take stress. You can get more connection back, but for 2 points, I don't really care. You can get all your IO back, but I don't really want the stress time. I don't really want to spend 5 points down here. My experience in the early game has been that AP is pretty limited, so I couldn't get much value out of this. And my experience late game has been that I want to keep my tokens because Phantom Sliding and pin dropping, and then next turn getting rewinded and doing it again while still in Skipjack or something, or still in the Matrix Host in the first place, just tends to be more. This can matter, but to me it has never really made the cut. Maybe really late game, level 20 something, like late 20s, you get another token and you're like, or another talent you can learn. This might make the cut, but to me it never really kind of works out. So let's talk about an example build you might want to go for. I don't have more than 1 token right now, respect token, so I'm going to kind of show you just 1 build, but I think, you know, Security Siphon, Skipjack, Dagger, coming up to Unlink, and then coming up to Trapkeeper is really solid. This is you spending 10 points. We're already level 3 around now. Kind of figure out which ones you don't want to learn right away. I think Unlink probably better than Trapkeeper. The traps can often be completely useless. And then you're going to try to figure out, okay, do I feel good about teleporting around? Maybe I don't, so I might go here and make this kind of play so that I can, you know, clear out hosts really well. If this is my only early game Wireghost, or only early game hacker at all, someone's got to do solo CPU spikes, someone's got to go do QGAP spikes, might need this. But eventually I'll change what I'm doing. And now it's not really going to work out because I have, you know, more talents than I want. But coming up here for Phantom Slide, and to me, I actually grab the +3 on Slide. I think Phantom Slide, well, actually, I grabbed this too early. My apologies. You're supposed to go here, grab these upgrades down here, get your 8 tokens. At this point, you should feel pretty good about Phantom Slide. You should have enough going on with this. You should have enough going on here and here that you can generate, you know, 10, 11 tokens drop of a hat. You've got this node for damage, this node for damage. Your slide should look pretty good. From here, you can go into pin drop. I would probably grab smart targeting before I grab plus charges. Something like this will be pretty solid. You can totally go here, get more connection. Obviously, I'm at talent limit here, so we're going to pretend this is my build. But instead of going up to here for cash burn, you would probably have respect and go here for Q protocol. Even just as the 1 pointer is going to be enough. And a level 17 build, right, again, you know, skip these 3 once you respec, go here, and your skipjack turns are going to look really nice where you innately have 9 clicks before disconnect because of this, right, giving you 10% back. And then as long as you can, you know, segment stuff out pretty well, you Trapkeeper the trap, you unlink the active ice, you hit some Spectral Dagger tokens, you just kind of count your connection. You say, okay, I'm down to 12, I'm down to 2, okay, is it ready? And it's like, okay, cool, well, let's pin drop. I've got a lot of spaces to go. Okay, where did I land? Am I near a CPU? Do I have the space to load scan and look around, right? This gives you, you know, extra click back or so. Okay, is it not enough? Am I a little bit too afraid? Okay, pin drop again. Okay, but this is enough. Okay, let's go find out, right? Now I'm definitely able to load scan. Okay, cool. Well, I can phantom slide, and I'm going to get my connection back whenever I click it. And I can go around, and I can basically mop up like another 5 nodes at the end there, and they'd be like, cool. Okay, I can safely DC. I got what I wanted. I may or may not want to rewind. I don't really need to necessarily. But by the time I'm back at the Matrix host, if it's turn 7, all of my talents are back from cooldown. Notice that all these have like about a 3-turn cooldown, or the things with only 1 charge or 4. So like these are all back and available. I've got both charges back in, you know, again by turn 7, which is going to line up reasonably well next time I'm going to do that kind of stuff. If I want to, you know, re-skipjack and knock things back down, I can. Works pretty well. I find it works really effectively. So let's go ahead and talk about multi-classing opportunities. Realistically, I would not go for any of these. You literally can't go into Hacker. This is mutually exclusive. But to me, if you're going to play a right side, like middle right side tree Wireghost, you are way too talent starved. When I skipjack in, I want every single one of these talents. They all have a use. They all have very, very real relevance. I would not skipjack without Trapkeeper and Unlink and Security Siphon learned. This is an automatic 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a required 5 to even get there. And then once I'm here, Phantom Slide is 6, Pin Drop is 7. I'm already on these things. I'm already like skipjacking in. Like to me, I don't see another version that just doesn't do this. I just kind of can't see it. And like there's a 6 talent version where you don't have this or Pin Drop, and it's fine. You just Phantom Slide the 2 random nodes. You clean a little bit of stuff out. If you have a Matrix dupe, you might find the CPU. That's really helpful. But whatever, right? But to me, like, I don't know. I can't find a way to make this build that doesn't do this. If you go for a more meat space type build where you're not doing all the teleport shenanigans, you still might want to go Skipjack, Siphon, Trapkeeper, Unlink, which means you have to go through Spectral Dagger. But you can go for left side stuff. You could go into like Vanguard. I would absolutely not go into Agent EX because again, there's a conflict with getting Neural Toner, and Neural Toner will make your hacking a lot more convenient. But Vanguard's pretty chill. There's not that many great things in skin slots here, and even just only grabbing Lure, I find is really valuable. I think Lure is, especially with the more recent updates to having upgraded enemies in base spawns, playing on high difficulties, you really want some kind of way of distracting, getting rid of enemies. This is really, really valuable. It's really helpful overall. So I would say, like, multiclassing just for Vanguard, just for Lure, actually pretty good. As for it being some kind of a fighter of some kind, I mean, you can just grab just Slash Slide. Great, you've got the best melee combat talent in the game. You're good to go. War Machine, I think, is... I mean, you could, but honestly, a good War Machine really needs Clawmaster and Redline. I guess you could just grab Eyes and get Stun Strike. That's a little funky, but it would probably be okay. Gunslinger, the Spinal Implant is a little bit rough. It's pretty good getting a Spine Implant on your Wireghost, but you could try. There's always the very easy, I'm just a sniper, I can take some combat talents here. Same for Soldier. Like, I just grab it and have combat talents. Give me Overwatch, give me Marker Sights, give me Iron Grip so I can shoot full auto without a lot going on. Like, these little dips for combat are pretty reasonable if you can sacrifice one talent somewhere. But I would not be like, oh yeah, I mean, you can Siphon Skipjack without this stuff, but like, I don't know, to me, like, you really want this stuff to make it look comfortable, or you can't really knock stuff down. That's how I feel anyway. As for actual gear, currently the Wireghost I'm playing in my current playthrough is running an E-Rifle half the time. Honestly, you can kind of do whatever. They tend to have a lot of tech for obvious reasons, which means things that have a bunch of crit damage on them can be good. So pistols, revolvers, blades, sniper rifles can all be reasonable as well. You can, I don't have them right now, but you can give them the cyberware eyes for extra crit damage. That can make anything work well with crit. That could be pretty reasonable as well. Honestly, it's kind of whatever. They're not going to fight all that often. The nice thing is, again, Skipjack really only costs about 3 AP. It's one thing I didn't really talk about with talking about the training is what I'll tend to do is have about 3 AP left in meat space, and then Siphon down to 2, and then Skipjack with 2 AP left. And because I often go up this right-hand side tree for the bonus AP, and I have, I guess, mostly just these 3 actually, to me it's actually enough where I've got enough AP to just do whatever I need, and I have exactly 8 clicks, and Unlink's going to give me... nothing special, but it's going to cost me 0 AP. Trapkeeper's actually going to give me AP back. It's going to cost me 5, give me AP back. I'll just be okay, and if I eventually have, this node on Spectral Dagger, I get 10 AP back, and I will have enough AP to just be able to clean up whatever I need to do while skipjacking. And so really a skipjack turn, it's going to cost you 3 AP, but it's going to knock everything down, or, half the map down. And then you can fight a decent amount, then eventually reach the host. Your host might be really quick. If you get really good Phantom Slide angles, you're pretty happy. If you don't, okay, it is what it is. But honestly, it should look decent overall. So, yeah, that's multiclassing. That's gear overall. Let's talk about what you want cyber surgery wise. So Cortex Wetware has 4 versions. Level 4 is very expensive. So if you go from Wetware 1 to Wetware 2, which is not that hard to reach, the big benefit is -1 connection burn. Now this does let you take 9 burns and only have 99 damage done to you. So if nothing hurts connection, you actually get 9 clicks, and then your 10th click with Dump Shock. That's kind of nice. You also got a pretty solid +20 IO and +1 tech, which is fine. The 20 IO can matter. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. If you go from Cortex Wetware 2 to 3, you actually get another +1 tech, another 10 IO. This one is less important, really. It's not that much more expensive. If you can kind of shell it out, you can, but the big deal is really getting the -1 connection burn. Wetware 4 has -2 connection burn. That one's going to be much tougher to get to, but yeah, Wetware 2, honestly, relatively cheap and probably worth getting. I should realistically do it on my Wireghost, just haven't yet, but yeah, it's not that expensive. This is the price on Chrome, so it's actually only 2/3 of this on any conventional difficulty. Still, yeah, really not that bad. Other thing that is really, I think, very important is getting Neural Toner. Toner 1 is okay. Toner 2 is twice as good and not that much more expensive. You do need to get somebody having, I think it's level 2 cybernetic implants, but 1 tech, 1 more initiative, and an extra 60 IO boost, right? It is basically twice as good. I think you really, really, really want Toner 2. Toner 3, less valuable here. It's only 5 AP and 20 IO. If you're rich, go for it, but like, this is, to me, non-negotiable in any kind of hacker class, which is why I would never, ever multiclass into Agent EX or something that would use that slot. Same for Scourge. And of course, you can't get systemic accelerators or whatever because you're busy, right? You got this going on. Headmem to me really does not make any sense here. You get some IO, but the active memory just really not important enough. I would not bother at all. Other implants, again, you can get some cyber eyes. They're decent. You'll fight some. Again, you only really spend 3 AP total doing a skipjack, and then you're going to be fighting the rest of the time, so this is pretty solid as well. Grabbing cyber legs for a little bit of movement, I think, is pretty fine. Synth Muscle 1 or 2 is a good amount of move speed. 4% is not bad. Synth Muscle 3 gives 6% move speed, just way more expensive, so good luck with that one. Spine implants, also pretty solid as well. Reflexes are nice in that you can get some initiative and move speed. One thing that tends to be true about Wireghosts is they don't get any reaction. Their talents almost never give initiative, and there's very little initiative on their attribute notes if you're playing a middle or right side tree build, which means they are often your lowest initiative person on the team. But them having high initiative is useful because if they're in the matrix knocking things down, you would like them to knock down your, the blue key door or, knock off that camera or whatever if they're not skipjacking again to start there. So them starting earlier is really good. And just in general, having move speed is kind of nice. An alternate option is chipped skills, just useful because it gives tech. Tech is obviously just good overall. XP is nice in the fact that I think compared to hackers, Wireghosts are very talent hungry and really want the talent upgrade. So, going up to level 2, level 3, whatever of chipped skills could be kind of nice here. Otherwise, I wouldn't really bother going into being a gunslinger or anything here. I think, you can go Delta Wire, but like, why not just get chipped reflexes? It's going to do the same things. That's most of what implants matters to me. Again, you can get a skin implant for a Vanguard if you really want. Up to you. It's more crit damage, which can be valuable with your crit chance, right? Like, this does have some decent lineup here. Those are the big things for gear as far as I'm concerned. What they want to bring up before we go into the other characters is there's a specific early game breakpoint, which is your starting cyber deck has 200 IO, which only fits 3 programs at a time. You can only get 3 of Scan, Sleaze, Deception, Disarm, and attack costs 80, so you'd actually need even more. The starting Wireghost comes with a passive 30 IO boost. And so if you can get 10 IO at all in your tree, you're now at 240. Well, there's 10 IO right here. And then there's a bunch of IO on the left-hand side over here and over here. I think there's one around here. It is actually possible to get another 60 over the top, or even another +20 if you really wanted. If you want to load attack on your turns, find 30 IO in your passive tree. You don't think you really need to. Just getting +10 is enough. But in another way, if you're taking somebody, like if you're going to play a Cyber Knight and you're going to start with Cortex Wetware installed, and you didn't take the trait that comes with bonus IO at the start, you're going to probably want +40 IO somewhere, or it's going to be really, really annoying before your Neural Toner comes in to fit programs. And even if you do get Neural Toner, well, if you're still on level 1 programs, this gets you 2 more program loads. Still getting +40 IO gives you a 3rd new program load. That's really valuable. Of course, as your cyber decks get larger and your programs start costing 100 and 140 IO to load, the breakpoints get a lot more hazy, but it's a breakpoint I really want to bring up. even if you don't learn the talent, I really, really recommend you find ways of getting a total of plus 40 IO so that you can actually fit a fourth program in your early game program sequences. Okay, let's talk about the characters. So the opening Wireghost you can get is Bondi. He comes with a reasonable set of attributes overall. Some flight HP is nice that he doesn't take stress from laser gates. Coming up with 2 cyberdeck armor and 30 IO is actually really, really good. Until you're able to unlink stuff right away, active ice will be trying to hit you, and so taking less damage from that is nice. Keep in mind, cyberdeck armor also protects partially at half value against you taking health damage from escalation, so that can be kind of nice as well. And again, I'd mentioned 30 IO. Getting to 40 is a very, very meaningful early break point, so really, really good stuff there. Great stuff here as well. So again, matrix damage does not seem to affect Spectral token Phantom Slide stuff. I'm getting very deterministic damage that is only affecting the passive node, so unfortunately this is useless. But -2 sec tally is really, really beneficial. From my experience playing with Remy, one of the starting hackers, -Q sec tally per action is really, really, really amazing. I like it a lot. This is very strong. He makes for a very good opening Wireghost. It's probably still a little bit easier to play the early game out with a hacker, whether that's Dade or Remy, and probably Remy, but this is very reasonably good. Second talent here is Grocket, which is fine. Tech is, of course, always nice. Liquid Chance is fine as well. One thing that's interesting to me is what I've found over the last 6 months of playing the game, since I'm mostly only getting small hosts playing meat space missions, there's this weird catch-22 of playing a Wireghost with your core squad who goes on meat space missions. So the positive of running a Wireghost on your core squad in meat space missions is it gains XP. And XP is really valuable because Wireghosts are really talent hungry. They really want to be ahead of the curve on XP. The other benefit there is because of how good Security Siphon Skipjack is, they can basically take up the slot of a Vanguard or an EX and solo carry a lot of your device disabling, which gives you an open slot to run other kinds of characters. You can run 2 combatants. You can do something else going on there, right? And that's really nice. Or it even just like alleviates talent pressure on your EX or Vanguard so that they can run more combat relevant or guard relevant talents. So that's kind of nice. On the other side, I find that unless the mission actually calls for a Matrix hack, the actual expected value of early game Matrix hosts is very, very low. It's few downloads. It's not a lot of money. The accounts are often not very good. The blueprints are often not very good. And it's not a very big upside. And so you're bringing this guy who's really just there to turn a bunch of devices off and then greed for like a very small incremental amount of extra money. But when they scale up, it's really awesome. Late game hosts have a lot of valuable stuff on it. You can get 500k from not 500. You can get a couple 100,000 from a late game blueprint, and that's gonna fund a lot of stuff for you pretty easily. And you're gonna get several of them per matrix host, right? And they can really trivially clear an entire host out on the first turn. It looks really good. So that's a little funky there. Still though, I think this guy works pretty well overall. One thing to note is there is a late game storyline that involves Jupiter Group that Bondi will not work on at all. So when you get toward late game around power level 6, you're gonna want to have another hacker or Wireghost ready who's powerful and equipped for late game hacking. The nice thing is a lot of your late game hacking progression is going to be have a high level cyber deck with high level programs on it. My other hacker currently has that stuff because I'm on that storyline in my current playthrough. But the guy is still valuable in all your proc gens and other stuff going on. But hey, I want to point out that there's going to be a set of missions that matter, that are potent and worth running, that he will refuse to go on, and so you need an understudy. But up until that point, it's really fun to work for him, and there's otherwise very, very few Jupiter Group contacts, so you almost never have this be a problem. The other Wireghost in the game comes from the Underworld Hub, if you want to hire them. I think you're always going to have this model, and the name's going to be random, of course. So is she any good? Well, comes with some Matrix AP and Matrix damage, which is fine, whatever. Attribute distribution seems fine. The unique benefit here is she's better at skipjacking, so -2 connection burn is pretty sweet, right? Baseline skipjack is -12. Getting a level 2 or level 3 Matrix Cortex Wetware is -1. So you're now brought 12 down to 9. That is 11 actions. And it's at level 1, right? I believe this number gets better if you upgrade it. I don't know. I have not played a campaign with her. But that is really, really good. It makes her skipjacking really nice. You can also actually hire her. If you want to read the dialogue, feel free. She's the daughter of a very famous hacker, and you can give her some extra stuff going on. So you can make her better at running around and faster, and that's fine. You can give her initiative, which is kind of nice, and say, hey, you're actually really, really fast, and gain hype so you can upgrade your traits faster, which is fairly reasonable. Don't leave her behind though, or you can just see like, yeah, you're also good at legwork just like the other guy. We'll grab Adrenaline Junkie, who cares? That's fine. And then the other thought is what is going to happen in her background. So right now in October 2025, neither of these two things have anything attached to them. This so far cannot be the secret that we earn. We will not get this illegal black site to go heist from. And having a spinal implant fused in that we cannot turn off or remove or whatever, it's just basically dead weight. And so this is nothing at all. This is a downside. And then from the one time I ran this hiring process, you actually get this, you actually meet Judge every time. But if you pick this option, you actually gain Judge is indebted. And that allows you to get somebody who just trades you favors all the time, and that can be kind of useful. So we can hire her and be like, hey, welcome to the team. And great. We have a fresh Wireghost that we can hire and use. Also, by the way, comes with Cortex Footwear too. So has a lot of, already comes with the -3 connection burn, which can make that look really good. And so you could definitely decide to be like, you know what? Early game Wireghosting is too hard. And I, would tend to agree that in the early game, a hacker is just way easier to use. And so I would just say, hey, just, start with like maybe Remy. And then you're like, I want to play with a Wireghost. I, have my team level 10. I've gotten some points in hand picked, so they're not going to be too low level. And then bam, grab me Maribel. Comes with level 2 wetware. Comes with minus connection burn. Gonna gain height pretty quickly so you can, upgrade these traits. And then you get to feel really good about it. So I think that covers just about everything. Want to give one final recap to what I think a Wireghost playthrough kind of looks like. And it really is, have your team kind of clear a path, spend 3 AP running forward, siphon in on something, then skip check onto it, and from there, you're going to knock down probably the entire security device. If you're early game, you're just done. That was your first turn. You spent your 8 clicks and you disconnected, and 5 cameras are down for 5 turns. Great job. If you're late game, you generate tokens, you get rid of a bunch of traps and active ice, you slide around, you pin drop around, and make the host easy for your future, then disconnect, and then just join your team, kind of run forward for a while, get stuff done, get to the host, and then say, okay, well, I'm here again. My talents are back. My connection, is back to full. I'm not as fast. I don't have overclock. I don't have null op, but I know all the ice on the SCU is disabled. I have Phantom Slide back up, so if I want to bypass a bunch of random nodes, I can. Just show up at the CPU. Maybe I cache burn it. Who knows? It'll look pretty good overall. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.